And I turn around and he's right here in my face. He said, yo, you gotta stop talking shit about my son.
LeBron James just slammed Stephen A. Smith courtside during an NBA game, and the exchange quickly escalated. The confrontation came after months of Smith openly criticizing and mocking Bronny on live television. What followed after that moment added even more fuel to the situation. Here's how it all unfolded. The confrontation. March 6, 2025. The Los Angeles Lakers were hosting the New York Knicks at Crypto.com Arena. Stephen A. Smith was in the building, seated courtside with Ari Emanuel, CEO of Endeavor, and comedian Larry David. Smith's beloved Knicks were on the floor. The Lakers won in overtime, 113-109. But in the third quarter, during a timeout, something happened that had nothing to do with the scoreboard. LeBron James walked directly out of the timeout huddle towards Smith's courtside seat. Smith later recounted the moment in detail on the Gills Arena podcast.
You gotta stop with my son. That's my son. That's my son. And I was like, what? He said, nah, that. I said, yo, let's talk later. He's like, that. Nah.
The exchange lasted approximately 8 to 10 seconds. LeBron walked away with a scowl. Smith did not respond. The whole thing was over before it registered to most people in the arena, but multiple fans had their phones up, and the clip went viral almost immediately. Smith explained later what he believed set LeBron off that night specifically, and it was not just the months of commentary. It was something he saw during the game.
I remember during a timeout in the first quarter, seeing Bronny, and Bronny looked over at me, and he had this sad look on his face. And I'm imagining Pop saw that shit, it hit him, and he couldn't hold it, and he rolled up on him.
That detail explains the location. LeBron did not call Rich Paul. He did not arrange a private meeting. He did not wait until after the game. He saw something in his son's face during a timeout, and he moved. What the clip shows, and what every person who watched it processed instantly, was not a basketball player addressing a media figure over a disagreement. It was a father reacting to what he believed was harm being done to his child in public, in real time, while his child was watching. Smith chose not to respond in the moment. He was sitting with his agency head and a major Hollywood figure on a nationally televised court in the middle of a game. He knew that anything he said or did would become part of the story, so he sat. He let LeBron say what he said, and he waited. The video spread across X, Instagram, and every major sports platform within hours. By the next morning, every sports media outlet in the country had it. Smith woke up to texts and calls from ESPN, his agent, and colleagues. The thing he had decided not to address publicly had become unavoidable. But to understand why this moment happened at all, why? LeBron James had reached a point where he walked out of a timeout to confront a media figure on live television. You have to go back to where it started, back to a public declaration LeBron made years earlier, and the chain of events that declaration set in motion. The father-son dream and the draft. LeBron James had been telling the world since at least 2018 that he wanted to play in the NBA alongside his son Bronny. By February 2022, he put it in writing. He tweeted, "If you want me, draft Bronny. Wherever Bronny is at, that's where I'll be. I would do whatever it takes to play with my son for 1 year. It's not about the money at that point." A year later, in March 2023, he went further, claiming Bronny was better than some of these cats I've been watching on League Pass. Those public statements created a frame around Bronny James before he ever set foot in an NBA arena. Every scout, analyst, and commentator who later evaluated Bronny had to work inside that frame, a frame LeBron built himself. Bronny's path to the draft was not straightforward. In July 2023, during a USC summer workout, Bronny suffered a cardiac arrest. He recovered, declared for the 2024 NBA draft after one limited college season, and the Lakers selected him 55th overall in June 2024. Stephen A. Smith, at that point, was not in attack mode. He was on the other side.
Stephen A., I'm going to start with you. We got Stephen A. and CJ McCollum here. Who do you think should draft Bronny?
CJ, go ahead.
I think the Lakers should draft him. I think if you look at the development process of him being able to play alongside LeBron James, arguably the greatest player of all time.
On First Take, Smith pushed back hard against nepotism accusations after the draft. He argued LeBron had earned the right to this moment. He noted that nepotism had a long history in sports and business, especially among non-black families, and argued the attention should be on Coach J.J. Redick managing the scrutiny, not on criticizing the James family.
I think that the Lakers are in a position right now where they need to be patient with him. They need to understand that it takes time to grow and develop.
I completely agree with you if Bronny's going to be in the G League developing. I do not agree with you.
Smith's concern at this stage was not Bronny's skill. It was the distraction of having him inside the Lakers' locker room with LeBron. He saw that as a pressure cooker, not for Bronny's play, but for the emotional and media environment around the team.
If he's going to be inside that Lakers locker room. And the reason why is because of the combination of other players who are going to be in the locker room, combined with the media that comes with being in Tinseltown when you're a member of the Los Angeles Lakers. You talk about a distraction.
But the key point was this: Smith was still, in June 2024, offering a version of support. He was not mocking Bronny. He was not demanding he be sent away. He was flagging what he saw as structural risks. Risks, as it turned out, that the next 6 months of the NBA season would expose fully. On October 22nd, 2024, opening night, LeBron and Bronny became the first father and son to share an NBA court simultaneously. The Griffey family, Ken Griffey Sr. and Jr. from baseball, were in attendance. The moment was what LeBron had spent years engineering, and it was real. But as Smith would later say on the air, and as the next 3 months of the NBA season would confirm, reality was about to set in. The numbers, the rant, and the line that got crossed. By late January 2025, Bronny James had appeared in 13 NBA games. He had logged 44 total minutes, scored 4 points, shot 1 for 16 from the field, and was averaging 0.3 points, 0.3 assists, and 0.4 rebounds. In the G League, he was performing better, posting numbers around 13 to 16 points per game in limited appearances. But in an NBA uniform, the gap between the environment LeBron had placed his son in and what Bronny was ready to produce in was visible on the stat sheet every time he played. On January 28, 2025, the Lakers lost to the Philadelphia 76ers 118-104. Bronny played a season-high 15 minutes and 26 seconds. He went 0 for 5 from the field, scoreless, with 3 turnovers, and was isolated defensively against Tyrese Maxey. The next morning, January 29, 2025, Stephen A. Smith went on First Take and delivered the monologue that became the flashpoint for everything that followed, including the moment on March 6 that we already saw play out.
Last night, the Lakers took a loss to the Sixers, but didn't come without Bronny James seeing some decent playing time in the first half.
He opened with context. He brought up J.J. Redick's own admission after the game.
I maybe put him in a tough spot, flying up yesterday and, nationally televised game and Philly, all that stuff.
And then Smith delivered his core message, not toward Bronny, but toward LeBron.
I am pleading with LeBron James as a father. Stop this. Stop this.
That sentence, "Stop this," became the headline everywhere, but what followed it revealed the full argument Smith was making.
We all know that Bronny James is in the NBA because of his dad. The first game of the season, opening night, the Griffeys in attendance, father-son duo playing in an NBA game for the first time.
He then cited the numbers directly on air.
Bronny James is averaging 0.3 points, 0.3 assists, and 0.4 rebounds. You know what people are saying. You know what they're going to do to this kid. In 13 games, he has played 44 minutes. He has scored 4 points. He is shooting 1 of 16 from the field, 0 for 7 from three-point range. How are you doing him favors?
He framed the whole thing as a request to a father from someone who understood what LeBron was doing, but disagreed with how he was doing it. But his language pushed past analysis. He brought in a boxing analogy, Joe Frazier putting his son Marvis in the ring against Larry Holmes, to make the point that even the greatest fighters in history, out of love, had exposed their sons too soon and caused them lasting harm.
Wonderful father by all accounts. I'm not casting any aspersions on him. I'm saying that's your son, bro.
Smith posted a separate, more extended version of this take on his own YouTube channel the same day, going further, calling out Rich Paul, calling out LeBron's public statements before the draft, and expressing frustration that his concern for Bronny was being read as disrespect toward the James family.
I was on First Take, my day job on ESPN earlier this morning, and I spoke about this, and I felt the need to elaborate even further because a couple of people text me and pissed me off, and they know who they are. People close to LeBron James talking to me about questioning him as a father.
This was the line LeBron's camp had drawn. They saw the January 29th monologue not as commentary about basketball decisions. They heard it as a verdict on LeBron as a father. For a man who had spent years building a public identity around being a dedicated, present, and protective parent, that cut differently than any basketball take. Smith maintained he was addressing the position LeBron put Bronny in as a basketball decision, not LeBron's parenting at home. But that distinction did not land the same way on the other side of the argument. The words were out, the clip was everywhere, and LeBron had been watching his son read those words too. 5 weeks later, he walked across the Crypto.com arena floor and said something about it directly. The responses, empathy, then war. The morning after the confrontation, March 7, 2025, Stephen A. Smith sat down on First Take and addressed it.
You were in the building, and we'll get to what that means for the Lakers and Knicks in just a moment. But, S.A., there was a moment in the game that we want to address.
That was LeBron James coming up to me, unexpectedly, I might add, to confront me about making sure that I mind what I say about his son.
His opening statement was measured. He did not go on the offensive. He drew a distinction that he clearly believed would diffuse the situation.
That wasn't a basketball player confronting me. That was a parent. That was a father. And I can't sit here and be angry or feel slighted by LeBron James in any way in that regard. By all accounts, he's obviously a wonderful family man and a wonderful father.
He also stated directly what he would have said to LeBron if they had spoken privately.
But if we had had that conversation, I would have said to LeBron James, I never would speak negatively about your son. I was talking about you, meaning you, LeBron James.
And then he closed his first response with a line that held the door open.
I get it. I'm not offended. I'm not insulted. I don't have any animosity or animus towards LeBron James for this. Nothing like that. I don't think he cares, but neither do I. I'm just stating fact. None of that exists. If I was in his position, I can't definitively say I would not have done the same thing.
That was the high point of the piece. It did not last. Smith also posted a 27-minute YouTube video titled, "LeBron and I Had a Confrontation, My Side of the Story." He restated his argument, maintained that his criticism was about LeBron's decisions as a father in a basketball context, and kept the door open for LeBron to respond. But he also flagged something specific. LeBron had the ability to reach him privately. Rich Paul had his number. Maverick Carter had his number. LeBron chose courtside during a game instead. That decision, the location, the timing, the public nature of it, started to shift how Smith processed what had happened. By the time LeBron appeared on a hot mic exchange with broadcaster Richard Jefferson before a Celtics game on March 8th, referencing the confrontation as being about personal and fatherhood-level criticism, Smith had confirmation of what he suspected. LeBron was not distinguishing between basketball commentary and personal attacks. In LeBron's mind, they were the same thing. That was when Smith's tone changed. On the Gills Arena podcast around March 11-12, Smith called LeBron's approach weak and bulls. He argued that walking up to someone courtside during a nationally televised game, surrounded by cameras with no warning, was not a confrontation, it was a performance. If LeBron had genuine grievances, Smith said, he had every avenue to address them privately. The fact that he chose the most public location possible during a live broadcast suggested to Smith that the goal was not resolution. The goal was a statement.
What do you make of LeBron confronting you in the aftermath of that situation?
I thought it was weak. I thought it was some bullshit. But in the moment, I knew that I was listening to a father. Here's what happened.
The empathy that Smith had shown on March 7th curdled into something harder over the following weeks, fueled by what he saw as LeBron continuing to misrepresent what he had said, using the incident to cast Smith as someone who had attacked a 20-year-old kid rather than the decisions LeBron made as a father on a public platform.
When we're talking about the Lakers, that's about LeBron, not Bronny. Bronny wanted to get drafted by any NBA team. He wanted to hear his name. It was LeBron that wanted him as his teammate. What I'm saying to you is, if LeBron had rolled up on me All he had to say.
Smith's argument was the same one he had been making since January. LeBron James orchestrated the situation that put Bronny under that scrutiny. He was the one who went on television and said his son was better than NBA players before the draft. He was the one who publicly tied his own continued career to wherever Bronny landed. The media reaction to Bronny's NBA struggles was not something that happened to LeBron's family. It was the direct consequence of decisions LeBron made on a public stage. LeBron fires back, and the feud goes deeper. LeBron James did not address the confrontation publicly for 3 weeks. When he did, it was not in a press conference or on ESPN. He went to Pat McAfee. On March 26, 2025, LeBron appeared on the Pat McAfee show for more than an hour and addressed Stephen A. Smith directly. The interview was broadcast on ESPN and YouTube. LeBron made his position clear. He had no problem with basketball criticism. Players get criticized. That is part of the job.
Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, that is all part of the game.
But where he drew the line was personal.
But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players.
Smith's response to the McAfee interview came on First Take and was one of the sharpest and most sustained monologues of his career. He did not just push back on the confrontation, he dismantled piece by piece what he saw as LeBron's attempt to rewrite the public record. He was precise about what he believed LeBron was doing, continuing to claim that Smith had attacked Bronny when, in Smith's account, the entire January 29th segment was directed at LeBron's decisions, not at his son.
For some reason, no one ever asked him about that. Wasn't it you who said that Bronny James was better than some players in the NBA right now before he was even drafted? I'm talking about the father that shows up at crypto.com arena. Last time I checked, Bronny James is a professional basketball player. LeBron James went on national television yesterday and lied.
Smith also went back to what had driven his criticism in the first place, LeBron's own public statements before the draft. The tweet about, "You want me, draft Bronny," the claim that Bronny was better than NBA players, the public engineering of a situation that guaranteed his son would enter the NBA under maximum scrutiny without being ready for it.
He said that I have no problem with you talking about the game. What did I say about Bronny James other than at the time he wasn't ready? That was it. I said nothing else. So if that's the issue, and I pointed to LeBron James and the fact that you've circumvented a meritocracy just to get your wish.
He then brought in something that had been running beneath the surface of this whole story, the GOAT debate. Smith has never ranked LeBron James as the greatest basketball player of all time. He has consistently placed Michael Jordan above LeBron, and he argued on air that LeBron's frustration with him was not fundamentally about Bronny. It was about that.
This man is in his feelings. I wonder why. Could it be because I don't believe you're the GOAT? Because I'll never believe you're the GOAT? Because I have you number 2 at all times?
Smith then noted something that had not been part of the earlier reporting. The day LeBron walked up to him courtside was the same day Smith's new ESPN contract was publicly announced. Smith suggested LeBron knew the cameras would be there, knew the moment would be captured, and chose it deliberately.
The day he came up to me was the day my new contract was announced. So he knows, like everybody else, it's gonna be a little while before I go away.
On March 27th, in a separate YouTube video titled LeBron, The Lies Keep Coming, Smith called LeBron a liar multiple times, referenced the Chris Rock Will Smith slap incident, and said that if LeBron had touched him, he would have immediately swung, while admitting he likely would have lost that exchange. He also connected the Bronny situation explicitly to LeBron's long-standing frustration that Smith refuses to rank him as the GOAT over Michael Jordan. LeBron, for his part, posted an old video of Smith boxing on Instagram with laughing emojis. Smith called it petty. The public agreed it was petty, but it was also a signal LeBron was not putting this down. Then, in October 2025, on Carmelo Anthony's 7 p.m. in Brooklyn podcast, Smith returned to the feud with fresh energy. He said directly, "I don't like his Not a little bit." He said the animosity dated back more than a decade, long before Bronny entered the picture. He questioned whether the timing of the courtside confrontation, landing on the same day as his contract announcement with cameras in a fixed position behind him, was coincidental. Skip Bayless called LeBron's move courtside cowardly and a premeditated ambush. The public split along predictable lines. People who saw a father protecting his child sided with LeBron. People who believed commentators should be able to critique athletic performance without walking on eggshells sided with Smith. The viral clip itself, LeBron in his jersey, leaning towards Smith seated courtside, scowling as he walked away, became one of the most shared sports media images of 2025. Meanwhile, the actual subject of all of this, Bronny James, was still on the roster and still developing. On March 20th, 2025, he scored a career-high 17 points against the Milwaukee Bucks. Smith went on air the next day and said he might have been wrong. "I was very impressed. He looked like somebody that belonged." That was the closing beat on the basketball side of this story. The game moved forward. The argument did not. The confrontation on the floor of Crypto.com Arena on March 6, 2025 was 8 to 10 seconds long. The conversation it opened has not ended. Enjoying the content? Make sure to check out the suggested videos by clicking the cards on your screen.